right, good morning everybody. Happy Friday. It is Friday, July 7th. Markets are off to a slightly red start with the S&P currently down by 0.2%, 0.1% actually, 0.13. The NASDAQ is currently flat at 0.04. The Dow Jones currently down by 0.24, the worst of the bunch. And then the Russell 2000 currently up by 0.2% this morning. So mixed market. We did have a employment report coming out this morning with average hourly earnings coming in hotter than expected. The month-over-month and the yearly reading came in at 0.4% and 4.4% versus 4.2% for the yearly expected and 0.3% for the monthly, which was the same numbers that we saw last month. So that means that earnings are still going up. That means that inflation is still here to stay. But we did see the non-farm payrolls coming in worse than expectations at 209,000 versus 225,000 expected. And it's down from 306. So this is kind of reversing what we saw with the yesterday's non-farm employment change being way higher than expected. So kind of conflicting payrolls reports. And then the unemployment rate came in at expectations, 3.6% versus 3.6% expected, down from 3.7% last month. So a small decline in the unemployment rate. Right now we're seeing interest rates reacting positively to this, with the 10-year currently trading at 4.06. Yesterday, whenever the 10-year was going up, this put more pressure on the tech stocks. So could happen today, but if we do get a pullback, once we start trading for the 10-year, we might see QQQ end up recovering that. So right now, markets are positioned a little bit more for the downside based on the options chain, with the current strike prices. 367 has 8,000 puts, 8,600 for the 368, and then only 4,200 for the 369. And if you're looking at the call side, there's 6,900 calls at 369, so we might get bullish above 369. 7,500 at the 368 and 67 or 6,800 at the 367 strike. So a little bit more bearish positioning under 368, but over 369 we could end up bullish, especially at 370 with 15,000 call options at that strike, only 11,200 of the puts at the 370. So just keep on watching the option chain, see where we're headed. Markets are trying to go up right now. Let's check on the big names, see if there's any pivots in play. Apple trading at 191.5, so not close to the 190 mark. Microsoft at 339.50. Could have a pullback under 340 depending on today's options. Let's see. It's not a steep drop in the open interest here to where I would expect that. Could be a structural resistance though, with that nice round number. And it did end up peaking there yesterday, a little bit above it, actually at 341, and then it went to 343 towards the close. Let's see. Let's check on Meta, trading at 292 almost. Google trading at 121 again. Close to 121, and Amazon pulling back pretty sharp here this first 5-minute candle, down from about 130 in the pre-market. So if I'm looking for an opportunity, I'm seeing some in Microsoft possibly with a pivot, maybe Tesla at 280. Let's see if there's any drop in open interest. There's a drop in the open interest, not very much to where I'd want to take the reversal trade there. And it goes from 24,000 to 17,000. The volume definitely drops significantly. There's about a fifth of the volume. So let's see. Not seeing any pivot trades so far this morning. Nvidia is trading at 423. And there is a drop in open interest from 7,000 to 4,600. And then the volume drops from 1,100 to 250. That's a decent drop in open interest. Not as much as I would like. I usually prefer about 50% from one strike price to the next. Good morning. Welcome. let's see if there's any other pivots, maybe to the upside. Looking at Meta at 290 possibly. Again, there's not that much drop in open interest there. Google, I know 120 is pretty strong. Actually, there's not that much of a drop in open interest there either. So, let's see. Apple doesn't have it at 190. And there's nothing for Microsoft here either. So, let's see. Tesla's trading at 280. So this could be a structural resistance. And the volume is dropping pretty heavily at above 280. Even the 285 isn't that popular. There's only about a third of the volume going into that. So we'll add on, let's go with the we'll go with the nearest strike price actually, 277.5 or 280. They're not too expensive to buy since it's today's expiration. But yeah, definitely getting a lot of volume to the upside right now in Tesla. Looks like the VIX ended up going back down 1.1%. Still above 15, surprisingly. SPY is flat, Qs is flat. IWM is up 0.7% right now. All right, so let's see if we can get this Tesla position on. At 277.5. Going for 150 at the moment. The lowest they went was 116. They're already at 170 now. 180 almost. Let's see, Amazon's pulling back. Looks like everything's starting to pull back a little bit. Nvidia at about 425 there. And there's a huge drop in volume past 425. So we'll see if we can wait on a recovery for Tesla or Nvidia here. One of those two names. Go with the 420 strike for Nvidia and then the 277.5 for Tesla. All right, and then looking at Amazon, almost trading at 130. You do see this sharp drop in open interest, which is ideal. There's not a lot of volume going into the calls today, interesting enough. And let's see, this is for next week's expiration. Let's go. Let's go with 128. Just one strike out of the money. All right, let me customize the grid and add this to the bottom. Even these out. There we go. All right, so these would be the three trades I'm looking for right now. 160, 160, and 180 for the prices. I'm not liking how this setup looks. So we'll go back to this. Okay. So now we got to choose which one is the most likely to drop on here. Amazon's definitely got that downward momentum coming off of 130. It already hit it. Nvidia still kind of trading up. It's at 54 on the RSI, so the strength is okay. And then Tesla getting overbought and selling off right after that. So I'd say probably the best opportunities would be either Tesla or Amazon for the shorts. Qs is currently down 0.2%, so that would help us to the downside. Trading at 367 as of right now. And Amazon's getting closer to that 130 mark that we need on it. Let's see, Amazon. Still a little bit bullish on the RSI at 60 right now. Recovering from its lows at 128-ish. And Nvidia looking to pop higher here at 70 on the RSI almost. These contracts going for 125, the lowest, almost the lowest that they've been. All right, I'm gonna go after Nvidia here. Contracts are going for 130-ish, 125 maybe. All right, I guess I'll get 2 of them instead of 3 of them at 130. That is not the right price. No, too late there. I'm going for 140 now. And got the order in at 135. But I don't think I'll get filled for it if there's a pullback here. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Those are going for 150 now. now they're back down to 130 a piece. I think the stop loss will be probably 105-ish. All right, got my order in for 120. There we go. And I got it at the bid somehow. All right, that trade's already going up pretty well. Trading at 126 for the bid. All right, down to 100 there already. So we'll see if we pull back on this top at 420, 460, or if we go higher and then cut losses there. Tesla's trading at 279. Catching resistance at 279.50 right now. Amazon's trading at 129, right at the morning highs. So everything kind of trading flat at the morning highs for the three trades we're looking for. Q's still trading down a little bit, 0.07% at 367. Happy Friday. Thoughts on doing butterfly spreads on stocks for the day of expiration? Better than out of the money credit spreads? Well, with a butterfly, you're going to get more credit for your collateral. So you are taking on less risk per trade, but the odds of your trade working out are lower. So you have to find a balance there. All right. Nvidia trading at those highs again, 420, 470. And pulling back just a tad. We'll see if this is a strong pullback or if this is just short-lived for another rally. It ended up peaking at 426 in the pre-market at 835 right after the employment report came out. So there could be some resistance between here and there at 426. Still trying to trade higher above 424 right now. Yeah, no problem, Shubin. Glad I can help you. Alright, getting close to 425 again. So we were looking at the drop in volume above 425, 9,000 to 2,000, and then 7,000 to 4,000 in open interest. So still could have the pivot play, but these contracts are definitely a lot cheaper than what I got them. 75 a piece after getting them at 120. So we'll wait to see if we see the pivot at 425 or not. Right now it's a little bit higher, 420.05, 425.05, sorry. And that high in at 425.30. Alright, there's a decent pullback to 424.50 from 425. The bid ask on the shares is kind of crazy. You're seeing like a 10-cent bid ask spread, 20-cent bid ask spread here. Makes it that much more volatile. Why is Meta tanking right now? Meta had a really good day, last couple days I think, after the launch of Threads, so probably just giving some of that back. Ended up getting rejected at 300 yesterday. That's what it's looking like. Down to 290 now, so let's see the puts and calls. So there wasn't many calls above 300 for them to keep on going up. And then there's really not that many puts to sell it off that much, but yeah, that clean rejection off of the 300 number being a psychological number one, and then the options is what's brought it down from 300. So that was a clean reversal. And it started at 285 before the rally based on Threads. So it had a really good rally, and then it gave that up. I'm assuming based on that 300 strike price not closing in the money. Alright, Nvidia is going back to the highs at 425.30, a little bit higher. Tesla's trading at 280 here, so very close to that resistance too. But Nvidia and both Tesla going higher here. Usually they trade like hand in hand with one another, so that's not too surprising. Amazon's trading to 129.40, so almost at that 130 level that we're looking for. Let's check. Google's trading at 121.24. Q's back to 368, so going bullish here. 369 is bullish for sure. But yeah, Nvidia headed higher over that 425 level and back to the pre-market highs nearly at 426. Getting rejected so far from it, but not pulling back that much. RSI is hot at 70, so everybody's buying in right now. You are seeing a few laggards in the Qs. Meta down 0.75, Apple is down 0.15, and Microsoft's down 0.16. So the losers aren't losing that much, and the gainers really aren't moving that much either. You're seeing 1.1% for Nvidia and Tesla. So it's not a huge gain from these stocks, but they are at some pretty important levels. Yeah, it looks like Tesla just got rejected right above 280. Just barely above it. 280.09 at the high. And Amazon getting closer to that 130 level. And another resistance at 129.85 as well. So that should prove to be pretty interesting. All right, I'm going to get the Amazon 129 puts for next week's expiration. it looks like Nvidia just went above that pre-market high 426. And a little bit of a squeeze. Let's see if people are buying the 427. Still not that much, but they are buying the 430s. And there's 10,000 in open interest, almost 10,000 in volume there. And those contracts, the 430 calls are going for 92 cents a pop. Pretty expensive for today's expiration, but you're seeing a decent squeeze to the upside after 424 and 426. Good luck with trading. Thank you, Space Pete. Yeah, it looks like Tesla can't clear that 280 level yet. So that would have been the best of the three to short between Nvidia, Tesla, and Amazon right now. Let's check out the longer term charts. So looks like Amazon's kind of stalling, kind of topping at 131 recently. Hourly chart, you're looking very flat here. Just going back and forth between 128 to 131. Strength ended up reversing on the hourly chart from 30 to 60. But we've seen that before. And let's see for Qs, currently up by 0.25. Trading at 368.30 right now. And ended up peaking at 369.35 in the morning after the jobs report. Yeah, Nvidia is just going nuts right now. Every candle has been green for the past 30 minutes. Alright, ended up peaking at 428, but still trying to head higher. 427 right now. Pullbacks are very, very minimal on Nvidia right now. All right, Amazon is pulling back here. Right at 129.60. Looking pretty similar to what happened on Tesla at 280. Put some Palantir. Let's see, PLTR. It's 1560, 1575. Those highs are in at 17 and losing the strength that it had before for sure. But this one's just been trading in a very thick range for the past month. 17 to 13. Yeah, Nvidia's reaching that 430 mark almost already. 429 nearly. And then past 430, volume drops. Open interest has a steep drop. So we could wait and take another short there. That would be a more likely reversal than what we had at 425, since the open interest didn't drop that much. But there's about a 60% drop at 430 to 432.5, and the volume drops from 14,000 to 3,000. So much more likely to pivot at 430 than it was at 425 here. Still about $1 and change away. At 277.5, Tesla put's doing really well on that. Ended up lowering at 107, currently at 170. Again, getting rejected right above 280. just went to 429 on Nvidia. Pull back on that. So I'll add a couple more to the position. Let's see, 25 each. They're going for 26, a little bit more. There we go. So there's our pullback on Nvidia to 428. But again, these pullbacks don't seem to be long-lived, so I wouldn't hold it much past. Did end up lowering my average cost to 60 cents. Let's see, in these contracts, to get to 60 cents, let's see how much they have to get up. It's about 15 minutes ago, so it'd have to go back to about 425. All right. Yeah, so you got Tesla pulling back pretty steep to 277.5, a little bit below that. Amazon went down to 129 and got a little bit of support above it. But the Amazon chart's looking very similar to what happened to Tesla. So definitely want to hold on to that one. Nvidia doesn't have too much speed to the downside just yet. Pull back to 427 for Nvidia. Yeah, it's at 427.30 was a low right there. Q's is back to 368, balancing on that price level. Yeah, hopefully we just don't get trapped between 427, 430 with these 0-day expirations. It's the worst you can have. It's a lot of volume in these for the 420 puts, but must be selling right now. Everybody's probably trading the 430 calls, I would imagine. Yeah, 19,000. They're tripling down there with that strike. Trading at 177 from 45 this morning. Damn. Yeah, Nvidia's trying to break those highs, but stalling out. Again, that 430 level seems promising for a pivot, but it depends on how strong the pivot is. Right now, it's not strong yet. Just hit 429.50 and pull back. So we'll see if we can crack the lows, 427.40. If we got enough in it. And those contracts ended up bottoming out at 16, so we could have got them like 10 cents cheaper. Hopefully we get a bearish engulfing candle, would be really nice to start the pivot. All right, almost bearish engulfing. You want to see it down to like 427. Yep, there we go. Engulf those last two candles. So that should start the reversal. But still gaining a little bit of support right at 427, it seems. Doesn't seem to want to go too much lower. Let's see, Amazon's pulling back to 129. Q's just pulled back to 367. Wow, that's a steep pullback. Probably what ended up in Nvidia turning around. So the markets have any influence on Nvidia here, it should end up pulling back, giving up some of these gains from the morning. Yeah, it does have a support right at 427, it seems. But if the markets are headed down, that'll probably end up reversing. So now you need this below 427 to continue that reversal from the highs at 430. Maybe bouncing from 425. Yeah, it's pretty far away down if we do get down there. But we have to clear that 427 support right now. Which is coming from a couple of days ago. A lot of trading action around 427, so I'm guessing this is why you have that 427 support right now. Let's check the hourly chart. 427. Yeah, that was about the peak that we saw a few trading days ago, and then where we kind of traded around a couple days ago. Amazon's below 129, so those puts getting in the money for next week's expiration. Q's down to 367.37, almost back to that huge wick low. And Tesla's all the way down to 275.80. So very steep drop there. Hopefully we can get something similar for Nvidia, but doesn't seem to want to play out too quickly. Yeah, it's just having a hard time following through with 427. Spy call, let's see. 440 is going to be a tough resistance to crack. Yesterday it couldn't go above it. And I would imagine the open interest and volume drop after 440 to make it a pivot level. Actually, there's not that much of a drop in volume. The open interest does drop very steep, but the volume doesn't really drop until you get to 443. So there could be more upside for it, but that 440 level is going to be pretty tricky to cross. So what you could do, maybe like a call credit spread, 440, 443. Set your max loss at 443 in case markets do try to go up a little bit more from 440. All right, looks like Nvidia just broke the 427 level finally. 426.69, 426.59. So yeah, this ought to be the start to a decent reversal. That 430 call just got obliterated from $2 to 73 cents. These contracts really aren't gaining that value that quickly since they're so far out of the money at 420. So I think I'm probably going to have to close them around 30 a pop. Unless we just get a huge drop in like 10-15 minutes. $427 now acting as a resistance. that was 426.33. And catching resistance at 427. So hopefully we don't get in that range too long. Looking at the 4-hour chart, 425.70. How long do I usually give a trade before going in my way? Well, I usually use the 5-minute time frame, and I'm usually trying to get in and out of the trade relatively quick, usually like 15-30 minutes. But you know, there are trades that I'll take like a second swipe at, like this one I opened early this morning, and then I opened a second one once we hit 4:30. So this one's been going on for about an hour. And then that Amazon, I have it for next week's expiration. So since I have a long time or a longer time, I can wait that one out like a couple of days rather than having to close this one today. So it really depends on the expiration date. If I have a 0 day, usually I'm trying to get in and out in like 10, 15, maybe 30 minutes tops. And then if I have like a weekly expiration, 1 week until expiration, then I'm usually trying to get out, I would say, in 2 days. And then if I stretch my expiration to like a monthly, 1 month expiration, then usually it's like a week. So it really depends on the expiration is what I'm trying to say. All right, 426.30. New low for Nvidia. Barely new low, I think. Let's see, low 426.30 versus 426.32. And now back to 427. So right now we're just catching ourselves in a dollar range, 70-cent range really. Tesla ended up bouncing at about 275. Let's see the puts, if there's a reversal signal. Not really. The open interest kind of signals for it, but volume not so much. All right, now Nvidia's in the 425s. About damn time. Contracts are going for 28 cents, so they really haven't gained much, even with the drop. Losing way too much time value. Let's see, Microsoft just dropped 368. Or sorry, 338. Dropping pretty steep. So you're seeing huge losses in Microsoft that ought to bring the Qs down pretty significantly. Apple's pulling back with that. down 0.7%. So you're seeing a pretty decent sell-off across the board. But Nvidia, with that morning rally, it's a little bit harder to take down. Still up 1.2% this morning. Ooh, that was a big wick there, 425, and bounced right below it. Yeah, so 425 probably going to be a support, but let's see where the puts are getting bought. 20,000 in volume at 425, 14,000 at 422, 17 at 420, and the open interest pretty low till 420. So yeah, I think I'll just cut my losses at 30 each. If I'm lucky, I'll get 31 on them. No, we're going back to 28 each, 29. All right, close those at 29 for about 162 loss. Cut losses for the Nvidia 420 put expiring today, 7/7 at 0.29. Still got that Amazon trade playing out. Currently up 54, about 15%. Trading at 207 right now. Let's see if there's any possible reversals to the upside. Microsoft being down the worst, 0.9% this morning. Let's see. Not really seeing a drop in open interest or volume until 335, which we're far away from. Meta's down 0.6% with the nearest pivot. 290 could be a structural support, but it wouldn't be based on the options chain. Apple the volume drops, but the open interest isn't that bad, below 190. Let's see, Tesla 275. The volume doesn't drop by more than 50%. Let's check Qs. The open interest is pretty high until 363. So if we do get more downside, we could be seeing something like 363 today, which would be another 1%. And then Amazon, let's see. No pivot in place until 127 possibly. That's next week's expiration. 128 could be possible with a volume, but the open interest doesn't drop that much, and the volume isn't that much higher than the open interest, so probably no pivots to the upside, I'm thinking. What to put for your limit price? So market price, you're going to buy the ask or sell the bid or whatever order is in. Sometimes you can get screwed over with a market price if there's just like a really low buyer or really high seller. So usually limit orders are going to be the way to go. I think with Thinkorswim you can actually create an algorithm to where it'll buy the ask, sell the bid, which is the natural price of it. I would say natural price is probably the best, just because that's going to give you the quickest fill. But I would say that limit prices are generally better for getting better pricing. And you can always set your limit price for whatever you want versus the market price. You're just going to get whatever the market gives you. And sometimes that can be way off. It's very rare, but it can be way off to what you should purchase or sell the option for. Looking for Oracle to drop back into the gap. Let's see. ORCL. Trading at 115. Down from 127. Did really hot after the earnings. Let's see. Kind of a similar trade to what's been happening with Nvidia, but Nvidia having a little bit more upside versus Oracle. And the relative strength is significantly weaker at 50 versus Nvidia at 63 for the daily chart. Getting back into the gap. It's basically already there at 114. And then the bottom of the gap was 110. So you could have a nice little $5 drop there, about 5%, 4 or 5%. Nvidia made its way back out to 427 there again. So yeah, that 425 mark was where it reversed. The 420s were too far out of the money for that to play out. But there's not that much drop in open interest or volume below 425. Maybe if we go to next week's expiration, you'll see it, but let's see. 3,300 to 2,200, and then 1499 versus 650. There's a steep drop in the open interest for next week's expiration, but the volume isn't that bad. Amazon's back to 129, catching a low in at 128.50, 128.60. Probably getting a decent reversal on Qs, I think. Yeah, 366.25 lows, 367 now. And it looks like Amazon's gaining support right at the morning open. 128.60 was the number. Pepsi. Pepsi is a good long term, I think, for the inflation play. Low price items generally have more pricing power to keep raising their margins. So long term, I would say like a Leaps option, 6-month option, you'd be good. And then short term, just kind of trading in range between 180 to 188. After their last earnings, they ended up going up pretty well, but then pulled back. There's a lot of volume on this day for some reason on 531, but yeah, I think long term it's a good trade or a good hold. Short term, you're probably just going to get a lot of back and forth. So you could assume that it might go back to the bottom of the range. You're looking at pretty weak RSI, or the start to weak RSI at 47. And getting rejected just above 54. So that either signals that we're neutral or bearish from here. So you could either do like a 180 put if you want to go out of the money. Maybe like a 186 call credit spread or something. Let's see, for next week or something like that. Yeah, you could do 180, 187.5, or be a little bit more conservative, 187.5 to 190. But obviously the pay is going to be lower the higher you go for their strike price. You get like $1 for going for the 185 strike versus only 50 cents for the 187. So if you expect it to drop to 180, you could do a call credit spread here, or just buy the 180 put going for 68 cents, 70 cents. The call credit spread I'll probably hold closer to expiration, and then for the put I would probably close like Monday, Tuesday. So my limit should always be close to the stock price, so it's filled right away. Yes, close to the ask price, exactly. So if you're buying an option, you want to buy close to the ask. If you're selling an option, you want to sell close to the bid in order to get the quickest fill for the option. All right, Tesla's getting close to 275 here again. Again, it doesn't seem promising for a pivot at 275, but it did end up catching a low at 274. Momentum is definitely more bearish today at 42 in the RSI. Let's look at the hourly trend. Just kind of going back and forth between 60 and 40, so more neutral the past 4 trading days. But this last candle seems to want to break that low. And the low is in at 273, so that's where you want to watch. 273 could unwind Tesla after the delivery numbers ended up coming in hotter than expected, which ended up sending it up from 265 to 275. So if you cross under 273 again, that would give up a majority of the gains. And maybe end up filling in that gap down to 263. Sorry, 264, 265. Yeah, no problem, Gabe. Oh man, the puts for the monthly expiration are super hot. $850 for the 265. The theta on it is 43 cents a day. So if we give it a week, that would be, we'll call it 45 theta. 5 days, 225. And in order for the delta to make up for it, it would have to drop 35. Let's see, $10 be 350. 45 times 5 is okay. So if it drops $10 down to 265, filling in that gap next week, these might gain about 75 if it happens at the end of the week. If it happens closer to the beginning of the week, that would be better, but I would probably give the trade a week. And there's not that much profit in it, I don't think. In my opinion, 75 isn't worth it for paying 800. So that's probably all the trades I got for today. And I will catch y'all tomorrow at 9:30. See you, everybody.